families were going to be here, but they have children, and it's too big of a risk to take. But we do have statements that they wrote for us, so you'll be able to hear directly from the families. They just couldn't be here with us because they are also going through the asylum process. Yes. That's the other thing I forgot to mention, is that these people are not undocumented. They are asylum seekers going through the asylum process, which is a legalized process, and they still get kidnapped. You may think that you are watching a collapse, but you are actually watching the biggest transfer of wealth, of power, and of control. This isn't chaos, it is choreography. It's a deliberate destabilization of our country for a merger in power. They are turning our fear into process and reorganizing society so there are fewer masters and with more control and more desperate people, which is you and I. Immigrants are not the cause of high inflation or the high cost of living. Immigrants are not to blame for the housing crisis. Immigrants are not to blame for the lack of health care and the threat to Medicare and Medicaid right now. Our enemy is not immigrants or any other working class person. Our enemy sits in the White House and on Wall Street. Our enemies are millionaires, billionaires like Elon Musk and like terrorist Trump and their other billionaires' friends and puppets who make their money on the back of the workers at home and abroad. But at the end of the day, we are the workers that run this country. And just the way we run it, we can also end business as usual. And that's what we're building up to. The violence that the American government imposes on black and brown countries around the world is finally reaching home. That's what you are seeing. This is the result of colonization. It's just that it's been done to people overseas, but it's inevitably that same violence used against other countries, we are seeing it right now, right here at home. Trump is also waging a war on black history because he's trying to erase black history in order to erase our collective memory of the black liberation struggle as part of his efforts to suppress all political dissent. They don't want us to remember the Haitian Revolution, the American Indian movement, and the black liberation struggle, because we can look at those struggles for our time right now. We can see what other people did to fight back in the past and learn from that. But do know that liberation does not come from the systems that oppress us. There is no liberation inside capitalism. Capitalism, one of the things they do not tell you about capitalism is that it concentrates the power and control on those that have money. And that's the reason why we work so hard to put something in the legislature. But the people that have the power, what do? They change the rules right away, right? To make sure that we never make it. Billionaires and democracy cannot coexist. The only answer is to remove billionaires that run our society from power. Take back their stolen wealth. And use that money to meet the people's need. Just imagine if we can have a society where we can have housing as a human right. Health care for everyone, not attached to your damn job. Free college education and beyond. How about a union and a living wage at work? Also, a nationwide price freeze. It's been done before and the government has the power to do it. They just don't want to do it. And also, money for the people's needs, not for the war machine where billions are being sent to right now. But one thing that Trump is not realizing just yet is that he's waking up a sleeping giant. The sleeping giant of the working class movement, you and I.
Fight back! Fight back! Fight back! Fight back! Power to the people! No one is illegal! Power to the people! No one is illegal! Power to the people!
No one is illegal.
No hate, no ICE in our state. No fear, no hate, no ICE in our state. No fear, no hate, no ICE in our state.
Island of Margarita. He's a devoted boyfriend and father to the 2 daughters, and they lived a life in Bradenton quietly. So Angela, unfortunately, and the kids were not able to be here. Like I mentioned, it is just too risky. But I'm going to read a statement that she prepared about Luis. It's in Spanish, so I'm going to do a little bit of translating on the spot. So bear with me. Mi nombre es... Oh, I started in Spanish already. Sorry. All right. My name is Angela Leal. I am the partner of Luis Carlos Jose Marcano Silva. I want to share with you today a little bit about a story and our situation and what we have been facing since we left Chile. They used to live in Chile. So in October 15th of 2023, we made the difficult decision to abandon our home in Chile because of the economics and social circumstances that impacted our quality of life. With our 2 kids, we started a long journey, but with the hope that we would arrive somewhere where we can find peace. For months, we traveled through different countries, facing many challenges on the way. Woohoo! But always maintaining our heads, always maintaining hope. And despite all the difficulties, Luis Carlos sorry. All right, they finally arrived to the U.S. Then they started, the minute they arrived from the U.S. to the U.S., they started the process, the asylum process, so that they can have a legal status here. Luis Carlos, he's young, he's responsible, he's educated, and he made sure to fill out everything needed for the asylum process. But after a year and 3 months after initiating that process, we got an appointment with immigration, and unfortunately, based on lies and false crimes that they accused him on, they detained him.
Shame.
Right at that moment, my life changed drastically. I'm alone with our 2 daughters, facing fear and uncertainty about our future. Luis Carlos is a loving father, responsible, and he has been a great example for our daughters. He doesn't have, it's important to say, which we don't have to say it to understand that people have humanity, but she says it. It's important to say that he doesn't have any illegal activities, and he's not connected to El Tren de Aragua. Like I mentioned before, his only wish has been to provide a dignified life for his family. Juan Carlos was an athlete, a passionate athlete that has always promoted good values for our family. His character is responsible, he has good work ethics, and that's what defines him. I am convinced that his detention does not reflect who he is. I make a call for empathy and understanding to our situation. Our only desire is to reunite our families and continue to build a better future for our daughters in this country. I thank you for being here today and for caring for us. Thank you, Angela.
Good afternoon. My name is Leo, and I'm a community organizer for the immigration struggle for PSL. Over the past month, I have learned about Frengel's case, and I come here to talk to you about it. The reason we are here today is because of what happened on February 4th inside that building behind me. On that day, Frengel had a routine immigration appointment when his family received the devastating news that he had been detained by ICE without any reason or evidence. For the next 3 days, Lilianara, his wife, struggled to find where her husband had been taken. He was moved between immigration facilities until he was permanently assigned to the Chrome Detention Center in Miami. This detention center is infamous for the inhumane treatment of detainees, and Frengel experienced those conditions firsthand. When Lilianara finally spoke to him, he reported being treated cruelly. He was given water only once per day. He was denied bathroom access for several days. Shame! And he was not provided medical attention, even though he was coughing up blood. Shame! Frengel's only hope of escaping this nightmare was his upcoming bail hearing. On the day of the hearing, Frengel and the other detainees were loaded onto a bus driven a few blocks to a remote area and left there the entire day and part of the night without food, access, water, or toilet. I.C.E. later told the judge that they had experienced transportation challenges and that they could not deliver the detainees to their hearing. A week later, a new hearing date was scheduled, and the same thing happened. Frengel was again put into a bus, taken nowhere, and left there for hours, causing him to miss court one second time. Finally, at the third scheduled hearing, Frengel was able to appear, but the ordeal didn't end there. His lawyer was presented with so-called evidence claiming that Frengel was affiliated with the Tren de Aragua gang. The judge denied bail based on these accusations, and Frengel's lawyer failed to adequately defend him in court. When Lilianara received the evidence herself, she was shocked. The document referred to two entirely different people, one named Carlos and an unnamed woman with the last name Reyes. Beyond misidentifying Frengel, the documents repeatedly refer to him as she. Despite these glaring errors, the lawyer failed to challenge the false evidence. After this devastating news, Lilianara did not hear from Frengel for several days. Desperately checking every hour for updates, she finally discovered that he had been transferred to the El Valle detention facility in Texas. On March 14, Lilianara was able to speak with Frengel on a call from El Valle, during which he told her he was going to be deported to Venezuela soon. The next morning, March 15, they had their final call. Frengel told her to expect a call once he arrived in Venezuela, but he never arrived. That evening, on March 15, 3 flights departed from Bali International Airport, bound to El Salvador. On board were Kilmar Abrego Garcia, Frengel, Reyes, Mota, Luis Marcano Silva, and 235 others. Even though a district judge had ordered those planes to return to the U.S., those orders were ignored. When the planes landed, the fascist president of El Salvador tweeted, "Oopsie, too late." These deportations were not a mistake. It was a deliberate, coordinated effort to dehumanize and imprison innocent immigrants. A message that we are not welcome here. But we must resist, and we must keep fighting to bring them home.
Yes!
Bring them home!
Bring them home!
Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home!
Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home!
I'm gonna read to you the statement from his wife, Leonara. She could not be here with us today, but she wrote something that we can read to her. It might not translate some things from Spanish that well, but bear with me. My name is Leonara Sanchez. I am the wife of Frengel Reyes, and today I stand here with my heart in my hand to demand justice for the man I love, for an innocent man. Frengel is not a criminal, nor a terrorist. He is a father, a husband, a working man who, like many of us, came to this country looking for an opportunity to live, to work with dignity, and to give his son, even though he's not his by blood, the love and care that only a true father can provide. Since Daniel was barely 3 years old, Frengel has been his guide, his protector, his unconditional support. Day after day, night after night, he went out tirelessly with the sole purpose of ensuring that our home would lack nothing, that his son and I will have a dignified life full of love and security. As a husband, I won't say he's perfect, but I can say with a broken voice and a broken soul that Frengel is the noblest and bravest man I know. He's my companion, my grump, my old man, my skinny one. And today, every day that passes without him is as if a piece of my life had been ripped from me. I haven't heard from Frengel since March 15. The last time I heard his voice, he said, "I love you. When I get to Venezuela, I will call you, love." Today is April 19th, and I'm still waiting for that call. Waiting for that "I love you" that never came. And while I wait, every day, my son asks me with those innocent eyes, "Mom, when will my dad be back?" And I, with my heart in pieces, can only say to him, "Soon, son, soon."
Bring them back. Bring them back.
I know that's why you are here, because it is not fair that a good man who came to this country seeking peace and work is treated as if he was less than human being. Frengel is innocent. My husband deserves justice. My son deserves to have his father back. I deserve to hug my partner, my friend, my old man, and say I love you again. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Frankie. I am an organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Time and time again, the current administration follows the precedent of all those who came before. All of them. That is, keep billionaires in power and keep the working class divided and distracted. They use this tactic with national as well as international affairs, and any country who dares disturb the status quo becomes enemy number one. These countries get squashed down by US sanctions, propaganda, and war. And if they dare fight back, they're labeled terrorists. Shame!
Shame!
In an effort to flee the problems created by white supremacy and capitalism, people like Frengel Reyes, who immigrated here from Venezuela, were told that the US would save them, that here they might have a better life. And he was following due process. He was doing a routine immigration check-in when he was kidnapped and sent to El Salvador by ICE. Shame!
Shame!
And there are many cases just like Frengel. We are told as long as we adhere to the system, we will succeed. We weren't told the dirty secret that we are meant to stay barely surviving in order to stay indebted to the rich in this system. A system where the fight for our rights repeats like clockwork every few years. A system where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Shame!
Shame!
It is not enough to do things the legal way. It is not enough to be a hard worker. Nothing will ever be enough because the current administration, like many before, only cares about profits and maintaining the system of power in which the many work for the few. They will use any identity they can think of to have us fighting against each other when the real enemy is the capitalist ruling class. We are here because we believe that change can and should be made. And we know meaningful change will take work. And in order to get there, we must unite. We must organize. We must stand up and fight back.
Viva! Thank you so much. I'm Edwin. I'm Tampa DSA. This is a very emotional moment for me. I'm also Latino. I'm Puerto Rican. So I wanted to say some words to Frengel, Reyes, Mota, and Marcano, Silva. And I wanted to say some words in him in Spanish. And I also wanted to say some words for not only them, but also to their families. Quiero decirle claro a todos los inmigrantes, a toda la comunidad latina, ustedes no están solos, estamos con ustedes. Aquí hay una comunidad entera en solidaridad con toda persona, y tenerlo claro que la inmigración es un derecho humano. Aquí no hay fronteras. Aquí la solidaridad tiene que ser de toda la comunidad y tiene que ser por todo este país y por todo el planeta. Y quiero hacerle bien claro, no importa si usted es puertorriqueño, si usted es mexicano, si usted es de El Salvador, si usted es de Argentina, si usted es de Venezuela, aquí todos somos hijos, hermanos y hermanas de los pueblos de nuestra América. I just want to be clear, now I'm in English. I just want to be clear that the Cuban liberation leader Jose Marti talked about our America. The United States is not America. America is a fucking continent. Yeah. Let's be clear, we're all Americans. Yeah. And we're all human beings. Yeah. For years and years, coming from Puerto Rico, coming from Hurricane Maria, the devastation that I saw in my community, in my country, and when I came here, I saw Latinos and Latinas, I saw Americans, I saw people from all walks of life in support and in solidarity with my people. And now it is my depth and my contribution to be here and stand with all of you. To stand with all of you. Because we are together a family, we are a community, and we stick together. Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe. For years and years, they've been saying immigrants take American jobs. For years, they say immigrants are a drain on the economy. For years and years, they've been saying immigrants drive down wages for other workers. For years and years, they've been saying immigrants don't pay taxes. All is bullshit and false. And this is also affecting Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, they've been driving down on Dominican migrants over there in Puerto Rico. Our brothers and sisters from the Dominican Republic have never been criminals, have always been our brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico. They've always been there, fleeing the fascist dictatorship of Fulgencio Batista. They've never done anything wrong, and now their families, as I speak, right now being raided in Puerto Rico. Dominican brothers and sisters, ICE is in Puerto Rico because Puerto Rico is a fucking colony. This tactic is made clearly to divide us. It is also again to pit us against each other, put workers against workers, divide us by race, and of course they're attacking us because of our immigrant status. But they're also blaming things on feminism. They're blaming things on women's rights. They're blaming it on workers' rights. They're blaming everything on the ones who are really here, the real criminals, Wall Street, and the fucking president who's now in the White House. All this is false, and this protest and all others to come must send a clear message that solidarity knows no borders, and Donald Trump and the MAGA movement, they are the real minority. We will not back down, and we will not be intimidated. Thank you, comrades.
And one thing that we know is that protesting war and genocide is not a crime, right? Yeah. All right. Welcome, Sam.
How y'all doing? Y'all ready to abolish ICE? Yeah! Good. I'm here representing the Progressive Jewish Coalition today. We are a collective of Jews who stand against Zionism, stand against all forms of imperialism. And I know, as a descendant of Holocaust survivors, of pogrom survivors, what a fucking concentration camp looks like. I know what disappearing looks like. And I know then I will never let that happen again. Not in my name. Never again means never again. Can I hear y'all say that? Never again means never again. Never again means never again. Never again means never again. Thank you. That's all I fucking need. Free Palestine. Abolish ICE. Bring all of our people home.
I'm with Witness at the Border, and my statement is what distinguishes a concentration camp from a prison in the modern sense is that it functions outside of a judicial system. The prisoners are not indicted or convicted of any crime by judicial process. So we need to face up to the fact that the United States government is funding a concentration camp. The United States government is illegally arresting legal migrants, illegally deporting them, and illegally incarcerating them in a concentration camp. Why do we tell these stories, these men's stories? Not to create fear. We tell these stories so we can help each other understand what time it is in our culture right now. We are a nation that is abducting and deporting legal migrants and placing them in U.S.-funded extra-national concentration camps. That's important to face, and it's more important to acknowledge. Witness at the Border has adopted the blue triangle as a symbol of resistance against policies that violate human rights and safety of asylum seekers. Nazi concentration camp badges, primarily triangles, were part of the system used in camps to identify the reason prisoners have been placed there. The triangles were made of fabric and sewn onto the prisoners' jackets and pants. Each color had a specific meaning, and the Nazis forced immigrants to wear blue triangles to identify themselves. Learning from the atrocities of the Holocaust, Witness at the Border seeks ways to stop crimes against humanity and to create awareness of the heightened and unchecked persecution of migrating people through racist, inhumane, harsh, and punitive immigration enforcement. By wearing and displaying the blue triangle, we stand in solidarity with those who seek asylum and those who exercise their human right to migrate. Thank you.
Thank you! Say it loud, say it clear! Immigrants are welcome here! Say it loud, say it clear! Immigrants are welcome here! All right, how's everybody doing today? Woo! Are you ready to fight for someone you don't know? Yeah! Are you ready to fight for your neighbor? Yeah! Are you ready to defend your neighbors from ICE if you see them getting attacked by ICE? Yeah! Hell yeah! You probably heard earlier this week, a young man, yet another victim, named Juan Carlos Gomez was arrested right here in Florida, right? Shame! He was detained under an ICE order. He's 20 years old, a natural-born U.S. citizen. Shame! Shame! And what was his so-called crime? Violating a Florida law that bans so-called illegal aliens from entering the state. That, by the way, that law had an injunction on it, so it wasn't even enforceable. So if you're seeing a pattern, they don't care about the law, right? Shame! It literally doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter because the billionaires running this state, the billionaires that run this country, it's not about the law, it's not about what's right, it's about fear, it's about power, and it's about control. It does not matter that he was a citizen. What matters is the narrative. What matters is the narrative that they're pushing, the lie that immigrants are the problem. That working class people from other countries are the ones hurting our economy, not the billionaires hoarding our record profits. The lie that it's immigrants who are raising our crime in this country when the real crime is our rigged economy, our broken healthcare system, our gutted public schools, and our stolen futures. Let's be clear. Let us be clear. Don't be hoodwinked. Don't be fooled. Immigrants are not the problem. They're the backbone of Florida, of this entire country. But we've got a really big problem, and many big problems. So one big problem is that over half of this country supports the deportations. Boo! And at first, they said it was only for people with criminal records. But now, most of those people in El Salvador, they don't have any criminal records. They don't have anything. And here's the thing though, even when they do have a record, we have to ask ourselves, since when do we trust a racist, classist justice system to define who deserves to be treated like a human being? Yeah. We can't let them divide immigrants by who's a criminal and who's not. Because who are the real criminals? They're not in detention centers, they're in boardrooms, they're in the governor's mansion, they're in the White House, they're on Wall Street. The real criminals are the ones defunding our public schools while they funnel public money into private profits. The real criminals are the CEOs exploiting our kids for labor instead of paying adults real wages. The real criminals are on Wall Street firms like BlackRock, who are buying up entire neighborhoods. Yep. Right? They made a law saying that immigrants can't buy homes because apparently immigrants are buying up all the homes. Is that true? No. They need to stop lying. This scapegoating isn't new. In the 1930s, just as an example, during the Great Depression, another period of total economic downturn, over 2 million Mexican migrants, some of them U.S. citizens, were rounded up and forced out. Here we are again, the same tactics, the same lies. But you know what else happened in the 1930s? The Great Depression, but the people rose up. People rose up and they formed labor unions. They formed tenants unions, and they said, we're not going to take this anymore. Union strong! Union strong! So I gotta ask you, we're in 2025, I'm talking about almost 100 years ago. How long are we gonna let this happen? Never! Not 1 second longer! Not one more deportation! Not one more! Not one more! Not one more! Not one more! So from here, we've got to stay sharp. We've got to keep our wits about us. We've got to stay united. We've got to stay organized. And I don't mean the Democratic Party. No. That helps build up this deportation system. Can we be? Let's be clear about that. I mean a real movement. I mean a working class movement. I mean a socialist movement. So join your DSA, join the PSL, join your union, support workers, stand shoulder to shoulder with your neighbors, because these billionaires see our potential. They see our collective potential, so we have to see our collective potential. Alone we're defeated, together we're unstoppable. Thank you very much. Thank you. Racist, sexist, anti-gay. Ron DeSantis, go away! Ron DeSantis, go away! Racist, sexist, anti-gay! Racist, sexist, anti-gay! Ron DeSantis, go away! Ron DeSantis, go away! And next, we will hear from Jared from the Progressive Jewish Alliance. Give it up for Jared!
On behalf of the PJC, we want to say not in our name and free Palestine! Free Palestine! Today, I will be reading a statement on behalf of one of our comrades who was not able to make it today because of their safety. Dear friends, I am writing these words because I am far away from all of you, not by choice, but because of the repression of the ethnic minorities. However, I wish to communicate my feelings and my thinking. It is important that our voices are heard and validated, and I thank all of the people within the DSA for giving a voice to this socialist. This is not the time to look at our allies with resentment and emphasize our differences. This is the time to unite and fight the real enemy that has taken over the neoliberal democracies of the modern world. Fascism, an old, creepy, cowardly enemy, is back in full force, and those who stand idly by while innocent migrants are arrested and stripped of their rights, their human dignity, and their humanity will be complicit in the barbarianism. While the ultra-conservative projects advances in the world, while the voices that advocate for fascism as a political, social, economic, and human project have increased due to the growing inequalities among the rich, I want to remember that history and memory is in our favor. Fascism has never won anything and has never known how to win, because in its long shadow, it has never conquered a just cause, worthy for a social good. It always advocates for the powerful, for fear and death to maintain its power. It is from its defeats that we have to learn. History will be our companion in these hard times. We have to learn how to recognize the betrayals that the neoliberal project has made to our communities. Instead of prosperity, they have offered us dependence on the markets. Instead of security, instead of a peaceful world, they have made us fearful and prejudiced of ourselves. We see day by day the news come from Gaza, where innocent children die because neoliberalism has abandoned us and masked and shown itself to be what it always has been. Fascism has hidden in new colonial tactics based on exploitation, in the deconstruction of basic human rights, in the propagation of new economic oligarchies that have taken away little by little our own dignity. Today, I want to remember the moments in history where fascism has lost. It has lost when the peace projects in my native country of Colombia formed fruits, giving hope to the new generation of young people and workers to live in a country without guns and without fears. It lost when the dictatorships were brought down in Chile and Argentina. It lost when the repressive dictatorship of South Korea were overthrown to make way for the healing of a country wounded by the stains of the Cold War. It lost when Frengel in Spain died and his political aspirations had no continuity. Fascism lost when the Kurdish people in the Middle East reclaimed their dignity and advanced little by little to their longed-for dream of having a nation of their own. Today, it is losing in Turkey, it is losing in Serbia when the people rising up against the repression of their states, and it will lose today in the United States when we realize that we have more in common with our immigrant friends than the differences that the fascism in power so desperately tries to emphasize. Fascism will always lose when a group of people raise their voice against its brazenness. Like you, the brave protesters who will not be complicit in this cruelty. It will lose whether it is 1,000, 100, or just one single person who disagrees with the inhumane and illegal way that they have treated our most vulnerable in this country. Today we are here because we have much more in common that separates us. And because today it will be the immigrants, tomorrow it will be the opponents, and the day after it will be the silent accomplices who claim they had nothing to do with it. This is why I want to say that today fascism will lose, and that our immigrant brothers in El Salvador, and the jails of the South, and the police checkpoints that are today trapped will be free to build a united continent for peace and prosperity of our inhabitants. That our voice is still alive only because we always will have someone willing to defend those who cannot defend themselves. Our immigrant brothers and sisters are not alone, and even if it's one single person, as long as there is one person who is willing to defend them, fascism will never lose. As PJC, we call on Kathy Castor, we call on Rick Scott, we call on all of our elected representatives to travel to El Salvador to confirm the safety of these men who have been abducted. We will not stop until the men have been returned and reparations are made.
Bring them back! Bring them back!
Say it once, say it twice, we will not put up with ICE!
Say it once, say it twice, we will not put up with ICE!
Say it once, say it twice, we will not put up with ICE!
Say it once, say it twice, we will not put up with ICE!
Alright, hello everyone, my name is Joseph and I'm a proud member of Tampa Bay Students for a Democratic Society. And I'm here to talk a little bit about the demand of no ICE on campus. Now, some of you might know, some of you might not know, but USFPD, the police department of the University of South Florida, has planned to sign a 278G agreement to allow them to collaborate with ICE in training USF police. As Governor DeSantis ordered law enforcement across the state to do so. Shame! You said it! This is a shameful decision by USFPD and DeSantis, which will increase police surveillance of students and will no doubt be used to racially profile and harass international students and immigrants on campus. No fear, no hate, no ICE in our state.
No fear, no hate, no ICE in our state.
No fear, no hate, no ICE in our state.
No fear, no hate, no ICE in our state.
Exactly. Now this agreement will allow USFPD to make ICE's job for them on campus, to stop and even arrest people only based on vague suspicions of breaking immigration law. Shame! USFPD Chief of Police Chris Daniels has already signed the agreement, and his history of repressing students makes his intentions clear. Shame on him! He wants to prevent students from speaking up on campus, just like he tried to prevent the Tampa 5 from protesting diversity in 2023. Shame! Or how he tried to prevent students from protesting for Palestine last year during the encampment. Shame! Say it loud, say it clear, immigrants are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear, immigrants are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear, immigrants are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear, immigrants are welcome here.
Across Florida, there have already been dozens of cases of students having their visas revoked at FIU, UF, and other universities and colleges. Shame! And USFPD wants to continue this attack right here in Tampa. USF already has a history of attacking international students, whether it be for protesting, whether it be for the immigration status of their parents. As just last year, they tried to deport me from the country for protesting for Palestine. Shame! After the encampment, they suspended me for a year, and then after a few months, they told me I had to leave the country because I wasn't taking any classes, and they never warned me that my visa status would be at risk, and they never did anything to help me. Shame! It was only through the community and through organizations that I was able to very quickly transfer to Hillsborough Community College. Woo! And only because of that am I right here with you all. But mine is a very special case, and almost no other international students or immigrants on campus are able to have the same chances I had. Shame! That is why we must stand up and fight back for all of them. Around 13% of USF students are international or immigrant students. And many of them are scared to speak up for their rights and scared of what USFPD might do to them. But now is precisely the time to speak up against this, and to stand up and fight back, and to make it clear to USF that students demand no ICE on campus. If you're a student and you want to get organized, reach out to Tampa Bay Students for a Democratic Society, Tampa Bay SDS on Instagram. And you know, we're going to keep on fighting, and we're going to win, because we know that we have a right to education. Immigrants have a right to be here. And we have a right, you know, I'm going to say this, and I want you to chant it with me. Education is a right, not just for the rich and white.
Education is a right, not just for the rich and white.
Education is a right, not just for the rich and white.
Education is a right, not just for the rich and white.
Exactly, thank you.
Thank you!
I stand with Luis Marcano Silva.
I stand with Luis Marcano Silva.
I stand with Gilmar Arregum Garcia.
I stand with Gilmar Arregum Garcia.
If I have a sign with one of their pictures on it, I will raise it high and proud. If I have any sign in my hand, I will raise it high and proud. My name is Alan Kim. I'm with Party for Socialism and Liberation, which is one of the constituent organizations that make up Answer Coalition, which stands for Act Now to Stop War and End Racism. This is a coalition based around rejecting the West's imperialist aggression in the global South. And that means at home too. Since Trump's inauguration, we have seen our government unleash vicious attacks against immigrants, detaining and deporting tens of thousands of our community members. Shame!
Shame!
He's even going after people with documents.
Shame!
Shame! He's slinging vague and unproven accusations to imprison Frengel, Reyes, Mota for simply being Venezuelan.
Shame!
Luis Marcano Silva for having tattoos.
Shame!
Frengel Garcia for wearing a hat and hoodie.
Shame!
As well as kidnapping Romeza Ozturk, Yun Sa-chong, and Mahmoud Khalil for demanding that Columbia University divest from genocide in Gaza. Shame! Obviously, Trump's anti-immigrant claims have no proof. People are not leaving their homelands, their families, to commit evil. In fact, they're leaving because of the very conditions that America's capitalist empire creates all over the world. For this, we do have proof. Look at how 66% of American companies fatten their pockets on outsourced labor. Shame!
Shame!
Look at how US sanctions have caused an economic collapse in Venezuela worse than the Great Depression. Shame!
Shame!
Look at how America has devastated Iraq, Afghanistan, and Palestine in order to dominate the political economy of the Middle East. Shame!
Shame!
These are only a few examples in a very long list of deliberate actions that the United States has done to destabilize and destroy any country that dares take its own path. Shame!
Shame!
People will flee war. People will flee unstable governments and hyper-exploitation. And America has sold people a lie that everyone who lives here is a multimillionaire. Do we live like multimillionaires here? No! We are the 99%. We know every day the billionaires are squeezing us tighter and tighter for profits. And immigrants, most of all, who do the hardest work, the jobs nobody wants to do, and has no right to stand up for themselves.
Yep.
It is audacious and ridiculous for America to claim that immigrants are freeloaders. In fact, we owe immigrants, right? So, Trump, Republican politicians, and the billionaire class will never truly give us our rights. We all know that, right? But I want everybody here to know that the Democratic Party will not save you either. Here's some proof. Clinton made outsourcing labor a bipartisan standard. Shame.
Shame!
Obama's war budget was the same as Bush's. Shame.
Shame!
Biden last year deported people at a higher rate than Trump is now. Shame.
Shame!
The Democratic Party, it's obvious, is only the kinder face to... Yes! Is only the softer, kinder face to a system that will ultimately try to destroy us all. They will change nothing fundamental about our society that needs fundamental change, right? So, we're at a point where we know what we're fighting against. And it's incredible to see so many people here that know we have to stand up and fight right now. But the only thing that will turn this into a winning movement is to know what we're fighting for. Right? A society that puts people over profits. A socialist system where we will invest in health and education, not war and deportation. So, make the fight back a sustained commitment, not a one-time effort. And understand that we are not fighting to return to the status quo, right? We're fighting for radical change. We need socialist liberation from a system that creates figures like Trump and Elon Musk, because it is socialism, through socialism, that we, the working class, will truly have the power. So, join the mass movement. There are many organizations that helped put this protest together. Find one of us. Join a local organization. Do not just come out once. Do not just go to protests. Educate yourself. Educate the people around you. Build connections with your community. Of course, also come out and protest, but you have to be part of a mass movement that is organized, because we are now outnumbered, right? No. We are out-organized. So what are we going to do today? Organize, right? The people united will never be defeated, right?
People united
will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. So make that a reality today. Thank you.
Thank
you. I open up in the language always, because when you struggle, you have to know some things. You have to know who you are. You have to know where you are, and you have to know why you are. And I may say some things you disagree with, and you should just leave it there as we disagree. Because I know a lot of people are out here today because in their eyes, Orange Man bad. And I don't think anyone's gonna disagree with you. You know, well, there might be people, but not here. Orange Man bad. But the reality is Orange Man wasn't at Selma. Orange Man wasn't at Tulsa. Orange Man wasn't at Wounded Knee. Orange Man didn't put my dad and that generation in boarding schools. Orange Man didn't do any of that. The problem is deeper than that. If you understand the reality, you have to know who you are, where you are, and why you are. And I'll start with who you are. I'm a human being. For 40,000 years, on my dad's side anyway, but for 40,000 years, my ancestors have been buried in this dirt, and they became the dust. The bones turned to the dust that became this dirt that nurtures this grass and those trees. That Florida Highway Patrol pig, just like these pigs, can only point to 230 years of having any relationship to this ground. And when they stopped that brother in Tallahassee who was Cahobal Maya, he has 40,000 years. Who should be deported? These guys. That's who should be deported. We have to know who we are. You're disconnecting yourself from being a human being by calling yourself an American. And most of you come from Europe or someplace like that, and you also only have 230 years. So you're disconnected from your ancestors. Go reconnect with your ancestors. Understand what it means to be a human being. Because if you stay in America, you will lose this fight. You have to become a human being. You have to understand what that means and your relationship to the ground and the earth and everything else, and to your relatives. You have to understand where you are. See that word America? I'm going to use it again. See, that word is made up. It's artificial. It wasn't carried on the wind 240 years ago. For 40,000 years, this has been Turtle Island, or Abiala. That's what this place is. This place is stolen land. And you have to understand who you are as a human being, and that you're on stolen land, so you understand what your struggle really is. Because if you don't understand that, you're gonna lose. It's not about DeSantis, although he's an asshole. It's not about Trump, though he's a fascist pig. It's about the reality of what the struggle is for human beings. Because when they drop fragmentation bombs on tents of women and children in refugee camps, it doesn't matter whether Joe Biden's president, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, or Winnie the Pooh. It's wrong. And we as human beings need to stand up to that. And not stop turning our heads because the color of the president's party is ours. Right? We have to understand who we are as human beings. That those Palestinian people are indigenous human beings. And we have to understand why we are, right? You have to understand why you are. Your ancestors got you to this moment in time, whoever you are, wherever you came from. All those ancestors that came before got you here.
And whether you believe in Allah or God or Yahweh or natural selection, none of them make mistakes, right? So you're here for a reason. You're here to meet the moment. Creation put you here to meet this moment. My brother, Leonard Peltier, he met his moment. The wolves came and attacked. He defended his relatives, and he spent 50 years in a box because he defended his relatives. And when we got him out, the first thing that man said, the first thing he said is, "They did not break me, and I am here to continue to struggle." That man met his moment and continues to meet it. It's your turn. Are you going to meet your moment? Yes! You see, today is a very interesting day. There's a lot of symbolism around today because today is Adolf Hitler's birthday, right? And tomorrow is Easter. So as I see it, it shows you the fork in the road that right now exists on this continent. And you have to make a choice. Are you going to be a human being, or are you going to turn your head like Americans have for 400 years and be a good German and be a good Nazi? Or are you going to recognize your humanity? Are you going to stand up and do anything necessary? See, we should have our shit together, go over there and burn that thing down with them in it. But we're not there yet. But that day is coming. So we have to make a choice if we're going to be a good German or if we're going to go ahead and resurrect humanity like that Easter thing says. The moment has come. The place is here. The time is now.